You know that feeling when you're about to buy something and it feels like more than just a transaction? Like your wallet is suddenly a ballot box? Well, let's get right into that, because that idea is exactly what we're exploring today. We're going to unpack how ESG, that's environmental, social, and governance factors, is totally reshaping your rights and, more importantly, your power as a consumer. See, this isn't just some clever marketing phrase anymore. It is the new reality. Our everyday choices are all tangled up with these huge global issues, right? Things like climate change and social justice. And suddenly, choosing a product is way more complicated than just looking at the price tag. You, the consumer, are kind of being forced to ask some pretty deep questions about where your money is actually going. All right, so to really get our heads around this, we're going to tackle it in 5 key parts. First, we'll look at how your wallet became a ballot. Then, we'll dive into the invisible but crucial world of your digital rights. After that, we'll uncover the true cost of the stuff we buy, learn how to spot corporate deception, and we'll wrap up with the most important piece of the puzzle, your power to actually drive change. So, what's behind this massive shift? Well, it's really 2 things coming together. First, there's a new mindset where people, just like you, see their spending as a way to make a statement. And second, we have this incredible, almost unlimited access to information. I mean, with just a few clicks, a company's entire ethical report card is right there at your fingertips. And it's pretty clear who's leading the charge here. Younger generations, we're talking millennials and Gen Z, they are way more likely to throw their support behind brands that are committed to sustainability and social good. They're literally building their values into their shopping habits, and you know what? A lot of the time, they're even willing to pay more for it. And this is where you can really separate the real deal from just clever advertising. When a company truly weaves these principles into its DNA, I mean, think about Patagonia and their die-hard environmentalism, or Ben and Jerry's and their constant fight for social justice. It creates this incredibly strong, almost unbreakable bond. You end up with fiercely loyal customers who feel like they're part of a shared mission. But you know, this whole consumer power thing isn't just about the stuff we buy. It's also about who we are online. And that brings us to this invisible but absolutely critical area, our digital footprint. We hear data security and data privacy thrown around all the time. But what's the actual difference? And why should you, as a consumer, really care? Okay, let's break it down. It's simple but super important. Think of data security as the technical stuff, the shields. These are the firewalls, the encryption, all the things that protect your info from getting stolen in a breach. Data privacy, on the other hand, that's all about your rights. It's your fundamental right to know what you're agreeing to see your data, and, crucially, to delete it if you want to. And this is where you see a company's true character. It's something called data stewardship. Are they just ticking boxes on a form to avoid getting fined, or do they genuinely respect your control over your own information? It's the huge difference between just following the rules and actually having respect. And the stakes here are massive. We're talking everything from identity theft to a complete loss of trust that's so hard to win back. So, looking down the road, you can expect to see data protection become a standard part of ESG reports. And keep an eye out for new privacy-preserving tech. I know, homomorphic encryption sounds complicated, but all it really means is finding a smart way to analyze data without ever having to peek at our personal private details. It's all about finding that balance. Now, this demand for accountability doesn't just stop in the digital world. Nope. It flows right into the physical things we buy every single day. So let's talk about the journey a product takes to get to you. Because what happens behind the scenes, well, it can be pretty dark, especially in an industry like fast fashion. Yeah, fast fashion is just such a stark example of how social and environmental costs can be hidden behind a cheap price tag. That horrific Rana Plaza disaster in 2013, it should have been a wake-up call for the entire world. And yet, here we are, over a decade later, and the industry is still riddled with problems like poverty wages and forced labor allegations. And today's giants, like Shein, are facing intense criticism for these exact same issues. And if you need one single statistic to show you just how far we still have to go, this is it. 2%. Only 2% of brands actually disclose if the workers making their clothes earn a living wage. Let that sink in. It's a really sobering number. So that lack of transparency, it creates this huge problem of trust. Because when you're trying to make a better choice, the absolute last thing you need is to be deceived. And that's why we have to talk about greenwashing. It is, without a doubt, the single biggest obstacle to making truly informed, sustainable choices. To put it bluntly, greenwashing is just deception. It's a company using slick marketing and vague terms to make you think they're greener than they really are. And the damage it does is huge. It creates this thick fog of misinformation that makes it hard to see what's real, and it ends up eroding our trust, not just in that one company, but in all green claims. But here's the good news. Regulators are finally starting to pay more attention. The EU is rolling out new rules to crack down on these vague claims. Over in Australia, the competition watchdog is taking a hard look at corporate climate promises. And here in the US, we're seeing a big spike in lawsuits against greenwashing, coming from both consumers and investors. But look, new laws are great, but enforcement is everything. And the real-world challenges are still pretty significant. A lot of the time, the fines are just pocket change for these massive corporations. The burden of proof? It can actually fall on you, the consumer, to prove a company's claim is bogus. And the legal systems can be so complicated that trying to challenge a giant multinational feels almost impossible. So, with all these challenges, what does the path forward actually look like? This is where we shift from the problems to the solutions. Let's focus on empowerment and the real concrete things that can help us build a more sustainable and transparent future for everyone. Real, lasting change has to be a team effort, right? Businesses need to move from just talking the talk to actually walking the walk with things like credible third-party certifications. Technology can be a huge help here, with tools like blockchain giving us a tamper-proof record of a product's entire journey. And of course, regulators have to keep pushing for stronger global standards, so we're all playing by the same rules. But at the end of the day, so much of this comes back to you. Your role is absolutely massive. So demand transparency, ask brands the tough questions, join powerful movements, and yes, vote with your wallet every single day by supporting the companies that really align with your values. An informed, vocal consumer is an incredibly powerful consumer. Our individual voices really do add up to change the market. Because when you think about it, your choices don't just shape what's on the shelves, they shape our collective future. Responsible business isn't just a nice to have anymore. It's essential for building trust. So as we finish up, here's something to really chew on. How will you use your power? And how far are you willing to go to support the brands that truly live up to the values you believe in?